Hi everybody, my name is Rob Potter. It's an honor to present to you here today the information I have about pyramids, light, color, and sound, and how creation actually is an aspect of sound. We're going to go into several aspects of understanding the sound, and I think one of the first things I think I'll reference, of course, would be the Bible. And here we see, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. In metaphysical circles, that could be called the logos, or the sound, or the word. So if we start looking at it, what does it mean? Now, to say that we would actually be able to explain creation, it's a mighty mystery. It's beyond the mind of man. For me, the infinite creator, God, is always was, is, and always will be. It's a mighty mystery of pure creative potential and power, and is eternally changing in the moment, throughout all time and space, and all dimensions beyond all time and space, and in all densities of matter, and infinite super consciousness, I guess we could call it. It's an unknown mighty mystery. So the Creator God somehow manifested this universe, and from my understanding, that universe was manifested through the buddy to my left here, Archangel Michael. Archangel Michael is the pure reflection of the Creator, as above, so below. And he was the creator of this universe, or the one we know as Christ, Jesus' Father. And Jesus was overshadowed by him for a period of 3.5 years, so that the living Word of God could be made flesh, and that God would restore his plan on earth. It sounds a little biblical, but I'm going to get right into some other aspects of things. And I thought it might be fun to go ahead and to show here a little more information on sound. I think this is, I've got a couple different videos I'm going to share with you here. And I think one of them I'm going to share with you is this Cymatic, the magic resonance. I'm just going to let this play on its own. It's a short video, but I'm going to let you watch this here. Okay. Are we going? Okay, let's see here. Here we go.
Sound has a kind of magic. Some creatures see with sound, and so do some blind people. Sound can be shaped and engineered to enhance beautiful music. Sound can even change the taste of food. Sound can burn away tumors and may soon treat Alzheimer's disease. Sound can levitate solid objects. The mysteries of sound are coming into focus like never before.
Look at that geometry. Oh my goodness.
So that kind of gives you an idea of the potential of sound. Sound actually has an ability to heal. Now, many people knew about a scientist named Rife, who developed certain frequencies that would actually hone in on viruses within the body and actually destroy them inside the body, where they would be reabsorbed by the white blood cells. And this is an advanced form of healing that should be released to the public for a long time now. Mankind has been subject to all manner of distortions based on financial greed and corruption and power, and actually about finances and making money off of people's illness. This is an unholy aspect of pharmacy, or what they call Big Pharma, which is the makers of potions and poisons. So we need to restore the body's natural ketones and signatures. And I'm going to be sharing with you today some of the science of that sound, as well as how it integrates in with the understanding of pyramids. So I think I'm going to show you another little video here. This is from a Russian website, and I think you're going to like this one here. Let me share this one with you here. Let me just pull this up, and we'll get this next little video to kind of give you a little teaser to what we're going to be doing for the rest of the day. So as I explain these things, you can understand it. So yes, sound has been used for a long, long time, and it's known throughout the universe as the primordial aspect of creation, just as we've kind of heard in the Bible. So this is from Russia. So we're gonna, oops, I should start this at the beginning. It's kind of impressive here. You can check this out. So what we're seeing here is obviously the sounds of the energy moving rocks. Now, the Tibetans have been in contact with some extraterrestrials from Tibet for a long time, and so there's many different types of sound technologies. I imagine that some of the lasers that have been used in the past have been I guess I would say from advanced civilizations have been used by the Tibetans. So I'm going to show you, this is a Tibetan, the Tibetan monks are very famous for sound levitation of the stone, levitation Tibetans. So they actually, what they did was they surrounded in a semicircle. They had created a series of sound levitations in Tibet, and let me show that for you. All right, here. So we see how sound obviously can levitate things by achieving resonance. And resonance is like when a singer sings and you have a crystal. If Ella Fitzgerald is there, she can tune to that frequency and it relaxes the molecules and the vibrations on the atomic level, and the grass will blow apart. So this is about a guy who went to a tall cliff where the monks were constructing a rock wall, and they had to get these rocks from the bottom of the ground all the way up to this thing. So they set all these musical instruments in an arc, exactly 63 meters with 13 drums and different sizes of trumpets, which were about 10 feet long. So they began playing, and of course the stones were lifted. I've actually couldn't find the video I had originally seen where the actual sound of the trumpet alone was just moving a very large rock along. So we can see that the science of sound is much more advanced than what we've been told, and we're kind of figuring that out now. So they were able to move these rocks. So with this evidence here, we can see the, of course, the evidence was confiscated by his employer, and some people can say, oh, that's not true, but from my understanding, it definitely works. Now, I'm a contactee of the Pleiadians and the Venusians, And of course, we don't know everything in our physics today, but we're learning, and it's going to be reaching mainstream in a relatively short period of time, as this information of the ancients is brought forward, as mankind can achieve his level of maturity to be able to use positive technologies, not for war and destruction, but for peace and creating a beneficial, prosperous society. So now I'd like to share with you my website. We're going to go into something here. I think I'm going to start off with the pyramids here, and then we're going to, I only have an hour, so I want to get into some of this information with you pretty quick here, and we'll get this going here. So I want to, because pyramids are very important to me, they're a big part of my life, and I work with the famous scientist, Dr. Fred Bell. So I want to share with you kind of my understanding of pyramids and how they work, and how this relates to sound, light, and color as well. So as we know, a large amount of magnetic concentration exists within the pyramidal boundaries, which helps protect the human body from adverse effects of negative energies and radio frequencies. With regular use, the pyramids can help create a beneficial environment for your body to function properly. With all the electromagnetic radiation, by wearing a pyramid on your head, especially our pyramids, which are built with a proprietary design of a solid steel frame and nickel and gold and copper and silver plating, we create various energies within the pyramid, different frequencies. The gold resonates and works with the hypothalamus, which is the emotional brain mind. If we add copper to it, it resonates with the adrenals and can cause not only emotional relaxing stability, but a physical energy by providing the electromagnetic field of the endocrine glands. If we add silver, that resonates with the pineal and pituitary gland. We all know about the kundalini, or the magnetic life force within the body, and this is called the human aura. When I was about 17 years old, I went up to UCLA with Thelma Moss, and we were shown the Carillion photographic plates, and we put the pyramids down, and we found out that the pyramid actually has energy. It has a life force. So we're going to get into that a little bit later. But if you notice, I'll give you the technological, scientific definition for a pyramid energy. A pyramid, properly defined, is progressive energy transfer through geometric focusing and dynamic electrical amplification over a measured plane of coordinates. Simply stated, the pyramid shapes acts like a lens and focuses the Earth's magnetism. And this is of the Great Pyramid design of 51 degrees, 59 minutes, and 19 seconds. It's shaped like the carbon atom, which is the base structure of creation. Think about it. We have carbon, which is a pyramid, that's the material. We have oxygen, which is air. We have nitrogen, which is fire, and hydrogen, which is water. There we have the four directions of the four building blocks of the universe, which is kind of left over from the ancient science technology of Atlantis and Lemuria. And most of the world recognizes the four directions and gives that homage to the pyramid and the understanding of the four building blocks of nature. Now the pyramid acts like a lens. There you see the Pink Floyd similarity there. So we see the various color frequencies. Okay, now there's something called the Anu. Okay, this is the ultimate physical atom. It's known as a fractal or a heart wave that's reflected in the Merkaba in the entire universe. Okay, so we see these natural symbolic shapes and symbols and energy vortexes. Oh, well, look at that. Isn't that interesting, folks? We see a diamond. A natural diamond is a pyramid shape. Okay, and unfortunately, we have taken diamond and gold and reduced it to ostentatious displays of wealth. Now, this is also like an iron molecule. In the center of the heme chain of every hemoglobin is an iron molecule. And this iron molecule runs through the blood, giving off oxygen after it's come to the lungs and carrying back carbon dioxide when it's done. And this is done through a charge of electricity. which is a subatomic particle we would call as a negative ion. Okay? So here we see a galaxy. It's kind of in the same kind of spiral of the heme chain. So that produces negative ions. What are negative ions? Negative ions are what give us life. That is the life force that we breathe in when we breathe in oxygen. So what creates positive ions and what creates negative ions? Negative ions are produced by thunderstorms. Okay? Thunderstorms produce negative ions. That purifies the air. You know how good it feels. Also, water meeting air. So at waterfalls near the beach or on a windy ocean, the air is very fresh and you feel alive and vital. If you're in a downtown underground parking on 4 levels below the earth, like in New York City, it's devoid of negative ions. It's almost all positive ions. And you become lethargic, sleepy, sick as well. Okay? So negative ions are produced by water meeting air, thunderstorm, and of course, plants. Okay? So the number one source of negative ions on the planet, but that's declining, is actually the algae in the oceans. And the oceans, of course, with the air and the water is obviously the number one. And the rainforests. In Brazil, there's a large amount of negative ions. And what negative ions do is when we have particulate matter of any type, shape, or form, of any size, in the atmosphere, negative ions will drop those particles to the Earth itself. And this creates a positive ion effect because the negative ions are being depleted by trying to purify the air that we consciously pollute. So we have to realize that when we have a low amount of negative ions, we have an imbalance in our serotonin levels. Okay? And this is known also during the full moon, our serotonin levels change drastically. In fact, in the Middle East, they have a law when the Hamzin blows and there's no negative ions that you can say, it was the full moon or the Hamzin was blowing, I went temporarily insane. It's actually called, Hamzin means 50, and that's an approximate number of days of the year that these Sharav blow. In California, they're called the Santa Ana, they're called the Chinook, the Sharav. In Germany, they're called the witches' winds or the phone, many other names throughout the world. So we have to realize that the pyramids itself is actually a symbol and a message to mankind from long ago of another civilization. And pyramid means pyra, from the Latin word fire, and medi, or med, from the Latin word medi, which means in the middle. So the pyramid translated, that word literally means fire in the middle. So metaphysically speaking, the pyramid is a principle of matter made flesh. It is a material object, and yet it has an aura like living things, like humans and plants. Ordinarily, only humans and plants and animals have an aura, anything that's alive. So the Christ principle is a principle whereby the mind controlled by matter in flesh through time and space returns to spirit. Now here we see a very famous picture with a Tesla coil connected to the bottom of a pyramid, creating the twin vortex of the masculine and feminine energy. It's a transdimensional portal, actually. And it's considered extremely important in interdimensional physics on many worlds throughout the galaxy. As it is used and responsible for enhancing life, it is used in multiple ways. On each world, the signs and the angles of the pyramids are different. The type of life and the geometric makeup and the specific gravity of consciousness will determine the exact dimensions. Okay? There is something called the Universal Order of Melchizedek, which is related to Archangel Michael and the Ascended Master Sunat Kumara from Venus, who incarnated as the Venusian bright and morning star, a person named Jesus the Christ, or actually called Yahshua as it was pronounced. These are 3 Venusians. I personally have met them all. I met Valiant Thor in 2003 in Utah. I met The gentleman in the middle, Don Thor, in 1982 in Yucca Valley, after being instructed by Gabriel Green, and the woman on the left, Valiant Thor's wife, Jill, I met in 2007 in Las Vegas in an inner circle meeting. Of course, we do have this negative technologies being used. This is a HARP station in Alaska, opening up portals and dimensions to hell. But why do we need pyramids? Why should pyramids be around us? Why do we need pyramids in our life? Because we have harmful smart meters, 5G, ELF, fluoridated water, chemtrails, chemicals of all kinds, insecticides. These are just a few of the auric destabilizers that are trying to help us. Inside this box is a double octahedron pyramid with crystals in the middle. It's actually used by the Aetherius Society to use some things. So our pyramid systems were given as a divine gift from Cymatics and the Pleiades. And a lot of this stuff from our early contacts in the 1975 when Dr. Fred Bell went aboard the ship on Christmas Eve. And I saw him on Christmas Day in 1975. And Cymatics had provided him with this design. And if you can see it right here, there's 144 pyramids in a concentric spiral. And we have different gemstones included in there. Normally there's one on the top, but we have various designs, and you can check these out. These are going to be on my website very soon. But so the Pleiades gave us a certain amount of information that these pyramid systems, which I'll be sharing with you in a moment here, can be used with groups of people to create consciousness energy field to expand our consciousness. So by using our prayers, this is a rainbow gathering. This is like the one where I met Valiant Thor. And we do prayers. So this device is called the irradiator. It's made of 7 columns, 7 pyramids, and I put crystals in them going out like this. And then there's something down here called the mega orb. But basically, this is a scalar wave device. And we use the various frequencies of different crystals. And if we want to look at frequency, of which sound is one manifestation to the audible ear, we can also look at the frequencies of crystals. Every crystal, every thought, every word, and actually every letter has a frequency and a sound. And when one becomes conscious of the power of sound and the power of their own creation and the entering into the silence, they can manifest things literally through decreeing in a word and a sound, actually part of creation. So here we have the famous 7 chakras. These 7 chakras are related to our endocrine glands. Up here we have the pineal gland, which exists if you take the third eye and you go back to the middle, and you take from the very crown chakra, you come down about 1.5 inches or a little bit more maybe. There is the pineal gland. In front of that, we would have the pituitary gland. That's directly a little bit in front and below the pineal gland. And then we have the thyroid gland, and then we have the heart chakra, and then we have the solar plexus chakra, and the sexual chakra, and the root chakra. These are the 7 colors of the rainbow. And oddly enough, the root chakra is related to our survival. Would be considered the adrenals, and that works and gets stimulated when we have a fight or flight mechanism. And the Manipura is the solar plexus, and that would be our blood sugar levels. And of course we have the sexual chakra. We have the heart chakra, which is actually related to the endocrine gland of the thymus. So we have the kidneys and the sexual energies and the thymus, the thyroid, the adrenals, the thyroid. Okay, so we were given various devices that were to act as divine intervention, and I'll show you some of these devices here in a moment. And here we note that there are 7 notes to the musical scale. Okay, so there are 7 notes to the musical scale, and the 8th would be the octave. Well, if you study the Tibetan charts on the chakras, The energy comes down from the center of the universe through the heavens into your body, and it actually goes to the pineal gland, and then it goes to different organs as well. You have 12 organ meridians in your body in acupuncture, and these are the life force of the exons, or the energy vortex points of the life force of the etheric nature that runs through the body. What are chakras? Chakras are force centers at etheric levels which direct prana, or life force, into the body. So if you think about it, if you go the half notes, you get 13 as the octave. So each of these meridians react to a different frequency, a different sound, a different color, and a different gemstone would be associated with that. So I do have workshops that we work with, and other technologies here to share the science of the pyramid and the pyramid energy. Now I'd like to go to another slide. And let's see here. Here too. So here is a little segment done in my living room with a
I can show you this.
on a TV show.
Amplify thought forms, and so utilizing the science of sound, light, and color.
So what happens is crystals are very important as well, because crystals amplify thought forms. The Pleiadian Semyasi from Era told us that the quartz crystal is a perfect synthesis of spirit and matter in zero time. And when utilized with lasers and proper thinking, can amplify thought forms. And we'll get into that in just a moment here. Hey folks, in order to lay a background, I'm going to give you a little bit of a visual here on some of the products that I have that will tie the next aspect of divine intervention in. We come from the heavenlies, and it's important that we know that our soul is eternal, and that this earth is a school, and the whole process of growth eventually ends in ascension for an individual, and then eventually for a planet through successive, more refined, subtler planes of matter, where the manifestation of the one true living God of love, and if we follow the principles of loving God with all our hearts and doing unto others as we would have done unto us, we can move forward. So I'm going to share with you now the Pleiadian technology. And first I'm going to show it to you live so you have a visual of it. And then I'm going to explain a little bit about it and how sound is key. And that's going to get into the more advanced technology that Dr. Bell was working on that will eventually be released to the planet. So it's important that you all get a good look. Okay, so I'm going to just take you on a little tour of my house. Crystals are very important, so I have quite a few crystals. So these crystals amplify thought forms, remember. So these different designs have different things to do. This particular design grounds out the alpha waves and the lower waves and goes right into your plug with a ground. We have down here, we have a floating ground Tesla coil. And that's connected up to this device here, which is called an ion shower. And there's a disc here with an emitter needle that showers negative ions. We have some other devices here. This is an energizing device. This device here is called an omnion, and is one of the key aspects of this device. And this device raises and lowers with the full moon over this crystal, kind of like a capacitor. This device here, when we hook it up to the negative ion generator, has a plastic plate underneath it and has a similar wire that you saw on the ion shower. This is called a MIDI fire star. And we have different stones in here, attenuating to the different frequencies. And of course, you can probably see I have a series of lasers around in here. So what we do is we play music specifically designed in certain keys to affect the endocrine glands. It's quite beautiful. And one of the things about this technology is you don't even need to prescribe exactly how to do it. Because if you have all 7 colors of the rainbow and all of the energies working together, it provides a natural vibrational field, especially with the Tesla coil. It creates a vortex energy. And I'm going to share with you now some of the designs. But before I do that, the idea for the Pleiadians was for us to help ourselves. This divine intervention technology, as Semyasi called it, was for large groups of people to work around one of these vortex creators. This would amplify our thought forms with the crystals and with our unified thoughts and consciousness, and even doing mantras, specific mantras, which raise the frequency of the body. When you do when you do that sound, you are taking the sound and you're resonating your chakras, especially into the pineal and the pituitary gland. Okay? So this is called the Kundalini. And as we raise the life force or the cerebral spinal fluid into the brain by entering into the silence, remember I said meditate, meditare, to meditate, to wait in the middle of the breath, or the science of Kriya Yoga, the science of the still breath, by offering the in-breath to the out-breath, we create a field where we're connecting to the Almighty God, the presence of the infinite. Prayer is talking to God. Meditation is listening for the answer. And as we listen within, we can connect our divine self with all the unmanifested and manifested powers through the consciousness, especially in the third ventricle of the brain and the parasympathetic nervous system. We have 3 nervous systems that run through the body. The autonomic, that takes care of all the natural functions of the body. You don't have to think about breathing, the heart, the blood circulation, all of that. Then we have the sympathetic. That is the reflective aspect of the body, your conscious mind. And then you have the bridge between the two where healing takes place, and that's the parasympathetic nervous system. So as mankind gets to know himself and understand himself as an electrochemical community of cells with 7 centers, he begins to realize that the hormones are what causes his feelings. And so we have to monitor our feelings and our thoughts primarily. There are many things that affect our body: nature of environment, liquids and foods digested, magnetic conditions at time of birth, magnetic conditions at time of conception. You have some fate, but the number one, and food, poisons, all these things can be jamming and affecting our frequencies. And so we have to realize that we have to shield and armor ourselves. And we armor ourselves with the truth of God and the awareness of the Almighty Spirit and the presence of God in our life. So the consciousness, as it raises up into the head, and this is why many of the ascended masters all had halos around them. I'll show you a couple here. There's one, there's 2, Paramahansa Yogananda, Swami Sri Yukteswar. There's on top is Kutumi. At the bottom we have the Ascended Master Amoria and the Master Jesus Christ. We also have Sai Baba, and there are plenty of female masters as well. And we're kind of a patriarchal society, and sometimes those are the ones that get the most notice. But the mission is to develop ourselves. So when this device is turned on with all the electrical energy in the vortexes, the people will have a stronger manifesting power. And when 2 or 3 or more are gathered under this divine principle and cause, it amplifies exponentially. So the intent was to create these systems that people could focus on. You can't focus on manifesting material things, but for me, it's always been world peace. Some people like to focus on money. You know, there's ways to do that. But I'm going to show you now some of the images from the book to give you an idea how this technology actually works and how sound is so very important. So now you see a symbol for the frequencies. You can see this is like the blood, as I mentioned before. We see the pyramid, double pyramid, and the heme chain of aminos and frequencies in the body. And of course, this is like a wave, and this is how direct current, or with a battery and alternating current. Okay, and so there's these different energies. These are the different densities of the energy that we live within the sea of these energies. All of these planes and all the energies, the entire universe is reflected in you and is in you. You are like a drop in the ocean, and yet you're the same as the ocean. So you have all these things I talked about. There's different shapes for different energies. We have the solid, liquid, gas, and the three ethers. There's different frequencies that relate to this. So it's very important that we understand how everything works on a cosmic level. So I'm going to show you here. I'm going to go through some of these here. These are the atomic weights and measures for this. These are the colors. Again, we have the ultimate physical atom. On the physical plane, you have electrons, protons, and neutrons. Electrons inside of them are, on the physical plane, are 49 anew. And if we go up into the astral plane, one of those atoms, which is, there are 49 of the electrons from the higher plane. So it's kind of like a Russian shell game in the aspect of creation. So this is the pyramid that you saw, the tall one. And the way this works, so a crystal can store your thought waves. That's like the device of the George King with the people standing behind him with pyramids and crystals. They pray into that box and do mantras for months at a time, and then they take them to specific locations and release them into the Earth's energy and vibration. Oh yeah, I forgot I'm wearing a pyramid today, so you can see my pyramid on my head here. This is how it works. You can test the muscular energy. There's the test of the power supply. We would have a plate here with crystals, and we turn on this Tesla power supply, and it creates scalar waves. Okay? And if you have 4 of them with laser beams coming down into a master crystal and the omnion going up and down, the star is also like the Devistar. So that's a basic quad system. There's a Devistar. It plugs into the ground or into a wall plug. And it blocks elf energy, and the Empire pyramids are always, you work as a scalar field. So we actually got pictures of this at Thelma Moss in 1978 when we developed these. And these actually create an energy, a scalar wave. This jewelry device is the same thing, and I don't have time to demonstrate that, but I'm just going to show you. This is all frequency. It's all a manifestation of sound. Masters can make a decree and actually materialize things. And they've created a science. Many of the extraterrestrial worlds have a science of this. So what we see here is we see different frequencies. Okay? In the base of those pyramid systems, and I'll show you real quick here what I'm talking about, is here, right in here, you can put something. This would be a called a mixing chamber. So in this mixing chamber, I could put one of these of a specific type, and this would be a frequency. I put a laser in there. I can also write out intentions, and this energy will travel. If you have one of these in your bedroom, it goes over sleep. So for instance, we look here and we see the different lengths of the oh, I'm sorry, let me go back there. What we go back to is we see the different energy frequencies. For instance, the high frequency one might be a diamond. This might be a ruby and an emerald, until you get all the way down to some of the lower frequency stones. So you actually can bathe the body in all of these frequencies. And I'm going to take this to the next level. We also have a large pyramid that can go in your living room with some more crystals. And you lay down next to this and you focus on your ideas and what you want to manifest in your life. This is what I wanted to show you. This is the sound healing thing of the X1 healing machine. This is kind of a little more advanced than the med bed on a physical level. This is more like reversing the aging process. Now, Dr. Bell got this device. It's a Pleiadian and a Venusian type of device that was once used by Thomas Colson and Fred Hart, who had something called the dipolar ray. And they were put in prison with just one tube, and they were healing a lot of people with what was called the violet ray. And I'll explain how all this works. So Dr. Bell was never able to create this, but I wanted to let you know basically how it works. And he was trying to get this out at the end, but he was trying to keep it in a proprietary fashion. So what this does is basically you place your hand on this computer. This reads your aura, and then I'll show you more. So this reads your aura and calibrates where you're out of balance. Okay? And each musical note, you see violet, the note is F and A. So you have all these different frequencies that are associated. Of course, here's the jewelry, and there's some other stuff there, but that's an ion shower. I got to get back to the other. I want to get to the next picture. Oh, this is interesting. This is a correspondence of how the planets, there's 7 sacred planets, how they work with the chakras and various things like this. These things are contained in Dr. Bell's book, Rays of Truth and Crystals of Light. But I want to go to, well, this is his house, and we had the spaceships coming around in Laguna Beach back in the day. And here it is. This is what I'm looking for. So this device was actually used in the king's chamber. Okay? So this reads, and this is a cathode ray tube with various noble gases. And not only does it read your frequencies, but it emits a positive irradiation of beneficial frequencies. It's kind of like a Rife machine on steroids, in that it literally can regenerate the DNA, in theory. So this device actually would tilt over 90 degrees. So this device could work standing up, or it could go over the body. And this is the basic tube of how it would work. And I want to see, let me go back here real quick and see if I have the tub. So there was a tub in the king's chamber. That king's chamber was actually an initiation chamber as well. So I wanted to share with you here that you can see. Let me open this up here. Okay. So what would happen is the initiate would go through initiations, which would start at Saqqara, a famous temple complex farther about 30 miles away from the Great Pyramid. And there was an underground tunnel that went there, as this was part of what was called an inner retreat of the Great White Brotherhood, Sisterhood. And this was a teaching of the Order of Melchizedek, which was to teach the spiritual message to the people of the earth back in Egyptian times. And at the final initiation inside the king's chamber, that sarcophagus had two functions. One, it was an energy device that had a hydrogen rod, and within the chamber itself there was a tank that would go up and down, and it would there were gemstones on the walls, and it was utilizing many different technologies to create free energy, which would irradiate wireless, free, harmless energy off the Great Pyramid, off the capstone. Anywhere within the line of sight, they could have a magnetic car or anything. So you would go inside this Great Pyramid, and you would lay in a tub. And that machine, after reading your aura, would go through a sound. It would go like, start slow, it'd go, and go, it would activate the ketones of your monadic higher self body, so that it would bring you to a higher state of consciousness. So a lot of these technologies are going to be bought back here in the not too distant future. So I wanted to share with you one other thing here. And let me show you here. So this is what I wanted to show you. This is a famous book that was made by Wendell Stevens, probably the most respected UFO researcher of contactees, who had his own experience. This book, I don't know if you can see it, but it's marked number 2. I received this book from him. I was a contactee, and Dr. Fred Bell and I were receiving Billy Meyer's notes when we were when I was very young. In 1978 or 79, he was sending us Billy Meyer's notes, and most people would recognize these as kind of one of the first modern-day contacts since George Adamski, being allowed to take the best possible pictures of a UFO. I mean, these were arranged contacts with multiple contacts of variation ships and with the extraterrestrials. So we live in a hierarchy of energy fields. Literally, there are multiple confederations within the galaxy, and the Pleiadians actually said, Semyasi said, that her ship was sound powered and light separated. And I'm going to tell you how they make their spaceships. The Pleiadians take mushrooms, and they, in outer space in a mothership, they grow these mushrooms to enormous size. And mushrooms have chordal chambers, and they emit, have a perfectly balance of sound. In a sense, the mushroom is a parabolic dish to the Earth and is sensing the Earth's vibrations. It's one of the largest beings on the planet, in the sense that the mycelium can extend for hundreds of yards, if not miles, under the Earth. It's a network. It's like a neural network, and it connects to the Earth's energy. So what the Pleiadians would do after it would grow, they would inject a liquid metal in there. And with their consciousness, this liquid metal would be combined with crystals. So now you have a Pleiadian hull. And this ship would actually react to the thoughts of the person. When Fred Bell traveled to the planet Era for a short period of time with Semyasi, he was taken to a spaceport. And in this spaceport, it was shaped like a nautilus shell, which is kind of like the Hollywood Bowl, right? It would have perfect acoustics. And so each spaceship is attuned to the captain's aura. And so the sound frequency that it would make would be the actual sound of the individual. That is kind of what that device that I showed you that was used in the Great Pyramid many thousands of years ago and was used by the Venusians to help Thomas Hart and or Fred Hart and Tom Coulson create the dipolar ray. They were put in jail, and they actually started the National Health Federation because they were healing so many people. This goes back to what I talked about, them not wanting healing. And when we think about all the things we can do with sound, what's better than a good feeling? Okay? You can have thoughts, but a good feeling, it transcends the temporary pleasures of the physical plane. So you see how the extra dimensionals, the ultra dimensionals, the superluminal light beings that come here from the higher heavens are trying to raise mankind's frequency. There's a whole other series of things going on, especially right now, that it's going to be revealed to the planet and be released to the planet. And final closing, I'm going to share with you a wonderful new book called The Gospel of Thomas that I was very honored
to write the introduction for. And I'm going to give you access to the introduction and to other things that are on my Facebook page and also in my inner circle. And for 1 month, I'm going to give you a code. And for anyone who would like to join my inner circle for free, it's normally $59. I'm going to show you what you get. So this isn't really a big pitch sale thing, but this is for you to learn more information. So I'm going to give you that code in just a moment. Okay, I'm going to show you real quick here how to join my inner circle for free. So you come right down here, and you're going to go to the inner circle, and you're going to sign in, and it's going to become, actually that little button's off, but it costs $59. When you sign up here, you just go in, and you're going to enter the code 3, these are all capitals, by the way, 38SXDJR. And by entering those credentials, you will check out for free. And when you're logged in on the site, you will see different discounts and you'll have access to a private blog. So you go here to this private blog, and this is what I wanted to share with you a little bit about here, is this new Gospel of Thomas, which was found in the Nag Hammadi Desert by a friend of mine. And one of the things that happened was the Venusians, who my friend has got to live on Venus for 2.5 months. You can learn all that if you research me. Once again, my website is apromiserevealed.uat.com, and you'll read about an introduction, which I wrote, which is 9 pages or 11 pages. But this is a tremendous amount of information that the final thing that, as a contactee, having met many Venusians throughout my life and having conversations in words, and a lot of this is on my website, is that I was introduced to a gentleman who got to live on Venus for 2.5 months. His story is quite incredible, but they call him the Venusian historian. He's written about 8 books on Venus right now. I think we have 6 published. And they recently, last year, gave him a technology. I'm generally not a religious guy. This is about truth, and this is about the life of Christ and the attempt to have mankind understand that we live eternally, and to not pay attention to the beastly nature of the material world, and to seek the unmanifest, and to seek all of the virtues, because those are the things that we take with us in life: honesty, loyalty, faith, temperance, courage, trust, compassion, faith. All of these things that we exhibit carry with us into the higher realms. And Raymond was given a technology that was used by Joseph Smith. If you don't know that story, an angel visited him. The angel was Moroni. Had to visit him, I think, 3 times before he finally did what the angel bid him to do, which was to go dig up a box that carried golden plates with unreadable cuneiform tablets. And within that box was a stone called the Urim, and that was called the seer, and the Thummim, which was called the interpreter. The Thummim was a pair of glasses. And what he was told to do was to take these plates, hold the stone to his head, wear the glasses, and he would be able to write down and interpret what was on those tablets. And Raymond Keller was given this exact same tools. And he did this to clarify certain things. He is a chosen messenger in the ministry of angels, chosen by the hierarchy of light to write the Gospel of Thomas, which was in great decay and was not seen. And so he was able to go back, and it's literally look in a bilocation Akashic record, or for you biblical people, the Book of Life, and able to see exactly what transpired. And he wrote 3 Gospels. He wrote, or actually 4. He wrote the Gospel, the youth Gospel of Jesus, from the age of 7 to about 12. And then he wrote the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, and it's revealed that Mary Magdalene was Jesus' wife, and he had 3 children. And the other thing is he wrote was the Gospel of Thomas, which was Thomas's work after Jesus passed away, and the Acts of Thomas. Thomas was known as Didymus, the twin. He was Jesus' twin brother. And I don't know how we lost that, but it's pretty amazing. So after Jesus was crucified, he was appearing to the disciples quite often and frequently and talking to them about their missions for a period in the beginning. And he told Thomas, he said, Thomas, I want you to go to India. And Thomas goes, India, I don't speak the language. I don't have any money. You told me you had a hard time there. Please, I beg you, don't send me there. He goes, no. Because I don't have money. How am I going to get there? Jesus walked over, found a merchant, secured funds for him, and he ended up going to India. This is why people think that Jesus didn't die on the cross. But he went to India when he was young, but his twin brother went after he was killed and resurrected. So this is kind of a clarification. And this gospel has a lot of information. It's going to be probably hard to accept for many people, but for those who read it, I think you'll find it might resonate with you. So I hope you understand a lot more now about pyramids, sound, light, and color, and the available technologies that are here now and that are going to be blossoming forward for us to utilize the natural laws of the universe and not to use pills that just cover up a cause or mask a symptom. You know, we need to find something that can actually change our bodies. And most primarily, we have to change our thinking, and we have to pay attention to the God's laws by eating pure and holy foods and proper things, and to serve our brothers and sisters and to be kind to one another. So thank you very much for having me today, and thank you. We'll talk to you soon sometime. You can check me out on the website. You can reach out to me anytime you like. Thank you very much. It's been an honor to be here. Thank you.